New York Giants fans, I know. It was bad on Sunday, but this is what you asked for. This is what you were looking for, right? So many of you said, hey, I don't want us to win meaningless games. I don't want us to end up in no man's land when it comes to our draft pick. Well, guess what? If you want to tank, then this is how you tank. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons. I am not at my normal location. I'm actually in Louisiana right now, doing some work and also, trying to enjoy the Thanksgiving week break. So, not a break for us because we're right back to the business on Thursday with another Giants game. But I think it's important to go back and look, right? Because there have been some things done by this regime that just baffles my mind. And what I really get a little flustered by is how we've been able to waffle back and forth on what should be or should not be blamed. I want to go back. I want to go back to before the game. I want to go back to the decision to bench and ultimately release Daniel Jones. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, like I can't believe that the Giants would handle Daniel Jones this way. He didn't deserve this. He was a class act. He did everything he was supposed to do." And it's going to sound harsh, but no, he didn't. He was supposed to perform well. He did not do that. They did everything they could to help him perform well, right? Outside of re-signing Saquon Barkley, which we all know is a mistake. Please miss me with that. Tyrone Tracy and Singleton are giving you similar production as Saquon. My argument there, and I'll make it quick. My argument with the whole, well, they're getting the same production out of Tracy and Singletary than that they would with Saquon is if Saquon's there, some of those some of those plays that are going for 15 yards and 10 yards, they're going for 60-yard touchdowns with Saquon. Like if that's what they're doing with that offensive line that's been boosted and revamped and built to be better, if they're doing that with the offensive line, if Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary are giving you that level of production with that offensive line and with limited passing game, what do you think Saquon Barkley is going to do? Can we all just agree that Saquon Barkley is a much better talent than they are? We don't have to agree on whether or not it was right to not re-sign Saquon, right? You're gonna have your opinions. You know my opinion. I think it was a horrible decision. I think it was the beginning of the end of the regime. But when we talk about whether or not those guys, Tracy Jr., who's done a great job outside of the fumbles, and Singletary, whether or not they are going to do the same things that Saquon Barkley is doing, you're judging Saquon Barkley off an offensive line that wasn't as good as this offensive line was. Saquon Barkley last year was running behind mostly backups all year. He was running behind mostly backups, and now you're going to give him that overhauled offensive line and tell me he's not going to perform better than Tyrone Tracy or Singletary? I just can't buy it. I can't buy it. But also, back to my Daniel Jones point, this is why it wasn't wrong. He did not do everything he was supposed to do because he was supposed to perform, and he did not perform. Ladies and gentlemen, in a relationship, when it's usually over, it's not a good thing. Like, it's not going to be a joyous thing. It's not going to be a positive thing. It's not necessarily going to be handled the best. Like, that's the part that I think a lot of you are forgetting, as if you've never been in a relationship before. When relationships end, they normally end because one person wants out and the other person doesn't. Those never end well. Now, what I think was going on is that Daniel Jones, and the way he handled this exit, was a lot of victim, like playing the victim. But there's no victim to be played for Daniel Jones. He did this to himself. He did this to himself. They went out and signed 3 offensive linemen to come in and solidify that offensive line. And you all can agree that the offensive line has played better. Even after Andrew Thomas went out, right? And they figured out, oh my God, we can't be putting these also-rans out here at left tackle. Let's put somebody that's legitimate out at left tackle. And they moved Illuminor to left and Neal to right. They played well in that game versus Carolina that they lost. He didn't get the job done. And then, right, because I don't know who to believe. I don't know what's the truth. But if there really was an option for Daniel Jones to waive that clause that would have made that injury clause that would have tied the Giants to him through 2025, if there was really the opportunity to waive that clause, 2 things. One, if Daniel Jones or Daniel Jones' agent refused to waive that clause, then guess what? You had to go. If the Giants said, hey, Daniel Jones gives us the best chance of winning, but we're trying to tank, guess what? He's got to go. Either way, he had to go. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you tank. You tank by getting rid of the quarterback that has the opportunity to get you wins. Remember in Buffalo years ago, Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback. And Buffalo, pretty early in the year, decided we are going to tank. They started selling off pieces. They started trading away starting receivers, trading away linemen. Tyrod Taylor kept winning. So they went, we got to stop this. So they benched Tyrod Taylor for Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman, who is absolutely terrible. He is worse than Tommy DeVito could ever hope to be. And he went out there and he was really, really horrible. They put him out there for 2 games before they got so much backlash that they had to put Tyrod Taylor back in the game. Then they proceeded to continue winning and backdoor their way into the playoffs because Tyrod Taylor was too good of a quarterback to have out there playing if they were trying to lose on purpose. Now, it still worked out for them because they were still able to end up with Josh Allen via the draft. They sent Tyrod Taylor to Cleveland. Hey, thanks for your service. Thank you for everything you did. You got us to the playoffs. You made us relevant. Here, go to Cleveland. Right? So they did Tyrod Taylor dirty. But the point was they were trying to tank, and the way to tank was to get the quarterback out of there who they felt gave them the best chance to win. That was Tyrod Taylor. That's all that the Giants are doing now. They had to get Daniel Jones out of the way. And by the way, if you leave him on the roster, if you leave him on the team, then when your Tommy DeVito plays bad, or you put Drew Lock in and Drew Lock plays bad, guess what people are going to say? Well, at least you can let Jones finish this out. I even heard the argument, oh, well, the Giants are so stupid, they didn't even think to keep Daniel Jones as a bridge quarterback. What do you guys think he's been? That's what he's been the past 2 years, he's been a bridge quarterback. And he couldn't do that well. He could not do that well. When they re-signed him, right, they were hopeful that he would be the answer. You've got 2 years to prove to us that you are the long-term guy. We've got you locked in for longer, but we can get from up underneath you in 2 years. He had 2 years to be the bridge. He was bad last year. Didn't play much because he got injured. But when he was out there outside of one game versus Arizona, he wasn't very good. This year, he's been bad. Outside of maybe one game where he against Washington, or maybe both games against Washington where he wasn't that bad, he's been bad. The offense has not had any life underneath him outside of the running game. So you got to go. You got to go. And when relationships break up, it's never good. It's never good. So that was the Daniel Jones thing. Everybody like, oh, the Giants handled this poorly. How else are they supposed to handle it? They want to get him out of there. Y'all don't give any culpability to the player, and I just don't understand that. I'm pro player, but because I'm pro player, that means that I'm also pro responsibility for the players. He didn't play well. He didn't handle the questions well. He sounded like somebody who was blindsided when we all know that he wasn't blindsided. We all know that behind the scenes they had been having conversations about, hey, this injury clause, it ain't gonna work for us. Hey, we know what we gave you. He hasn't played well enough for us to feel comfortable going forward. We know those conversations were going on behind the scenes. Why are we trying to act as if they blindsided Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones has been allowed to make enough money so that he has generational wealth. And he was already a pretty well-off kid. He grew up pretty well off. The dude went to Duke. He grew up pretty well off. He's made enough money to have generational wealth. And y'all are mad because the Giants brass handled it poorly because what? They had him playing scout team safety. A lot of y'all made way more out of that than what it really was. You made a lot more out of it than what it really was. It really wasn't that big a deal. Not at all. But that's how I know that a lot of people who make big things out of something that's small, you probably never played football before. You've probably never played football before. You've probably never been a part of a team before. I get it. But it doesn't have to always be the most awful thing in the world. Daniel Jones and the Giants were through. They were over. The Giants actually did Daniel Jones a favor by releasing him. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. So then we click over to the game. It's the Tommy DeVito era. And the first half was absolutely awful. It was awful. The interior of the defense of the offensive line breaking down. They couldn't handle stunts on the offensive line. Then Illuminor gets hurt on the left side. So we're having some protection issues. We're running the ball decently. The first half is an abject failure because the defense can't play at all. They went from being at the beginning of the year through the first maybe 5-6 games of the season, they were looking like they were a playoff to championship caliber defense. And then offense is figured out. Offense has figured it out. And once offense has figured it out, they made no adjustments. They made no adjustments. They got Bobby Okereke playing like he's a coverage linebacker instead of somebody who is constantly coming downhill. Last year, he had, 5 sacks? 5 sacks, 6 sacks? This year, not being used like that. not being used as an aggressive downhill, still trying to get away with just rushing 4 all the time. Where's Brian Burns at? That's who you spent all the money for. That's why you couldn't re-sign Barkley. That's why you couldn't re-sign McKinney. See, people keep saying, oh, well, if we don't sign Barkley, if we sign Barkley, then we don't have the offensive line. That's not true. If you sign Barkley, but then you don't trade and sign Burns, you can still afford all those offensive linemen because Burns is making more money than all 3 of the offensive linemen that they signed combined. Right? So that's not true. Where was Burns? Kayvon Thibodeau came back from injury. Where was he? Azeez Ojulari got hurt. That's been the knock on Ojulari since he came into the league. Injuries. Offensively, we see the ball getting thrown to people, and yet through the first half, no Malik Neighbors, no Darius Slayton. The second half, they start throwing the ball to Malik Neighbors more. They're throwing the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson. Still no Darius Slayton. That then makes you ask the question. If you're not going to trade away Darius Slayton and get something because he's not in your future, right? If you're not going to trade him away, then why are you not utilizing him more in the offense? Why are you trying to make people believe that Darius Slayton's not good? We've seen him. He's really good. And every time he gets the opportunity, he balls. You want to know why? Because they're trying to tank. They're trying to lose, ladies and gentlemen. This is why it looks like this. They're trying to lose. This game in the first half was, let's let it get away. Then in the second half, what happened? They changed up how they were employing Tommy DeVito. All of a sudden, it wasn't hold the ball. It was get the ball out quick. Then they found Neighbors again. They found Wan'Dale again. They got the running game rolling. Everything was popping. Everything was clicking. The first drive, they come down, fumble. Because they got to the goal line, and instead of just doing what they had been doing, they tried to get cute, tried to direct snap to Tyrone Tracy with the QB read like they used to do it with Saquon Barkley, but he's not Saquon Barkley, and it's a fumble. So they get no points there. They come back the next drive, get points, get touchdown. Why? Because now it's okay to start scoring. The game is so far out of reach that we don't have to worry about a comeback, and now we can start to make Tommy DeVito look good enough that we can justify him starting the next week. Like he made passes, he made plays in the second half, plays that he did not make in the first half, things that he did not do in the first half. That allows them to sell Tommy DeVito for another week. And guess what's going to happen on Thanksgiving? He's going to play well enough, just well enough, that they can justify continuing to put him out there because he gives them the best chance to lose. And that's what they're trying to do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you wanted, right? This is what you wanted. This is how you tank. Linebackers and DBs not even looking like they wanted to tackle. This is how you tank, right? Because once your players find out that you're tanking, they'll help you tank. You don't have to tell the players, hey, we're tanking. Once the players find out that this is, hey, you got rid of Daniel Jones, he's our best chance to win games. Oh, you guys are trying to lose on purpose. Okay, well, if you don't want me to win, then I'm not playing hard. And I don't want to hear anybody giving them crap for this. How can you possibly get mad at the players for not playing their hardest or not performing their hardest when the coaching staff and the front office has clearly given up on the season? Like, how can you do that? How can you sit back and I see people trying to all of a sudden throw shade on Bobby Okereke? What happened to Bobby Okereke? What happened to Bobby Okereke? Nothing happened to Bobby Okereke. He's still really good. You want to know what happened? The defensive coordinator sucks. He doesn't know how to make adjustments. He doesn't know how to send pressure. He's stubborn. They brought him in to stop the run. He can't stop the run. He's trying to get pressure with four. He doesn't send a fifth guy when almost everybody around the world sends a fifth guy. And you're wondering why the defense doesn't have any chance to be successful. Sometimes you blitz to stop the run. Remember, all of you guys told us, all of you guys said, hey, Coach Winkie had to go. Now, all of you are coming around to the point of, hey, man, Shane Bowen, he might have to go. Here's the problem, right? Because I was intoxicated. I fell for it early. I was heavily against the Shane Bowen signing. And then I saw the defensive production and went, well, maybe he's changed. Well, maybe he's figured out that you can't be what you were in Tennessee. And yet, over the last few games, we've just seen him be stagnant and do the same stuff that he was doing in Tennessee that got him thrown out at Tennessee. They got that regime thrown out at Tennessee. It's the same stuff. So what am I to make of that? Who are we blaming for that? You got to put the blame at the feet of the coach because he's the one that wanted to hire the defensive coordinator. Hey, the worst thing they ever did was do Hard Knocks. That preseason that's the worst thing they ever did. The off season, because they gave us so much access that we saw how the sausage was made, and now we can see when the sausage is bad. Daboll wanted Bowen, and he threw a shot at Wink by saying, let's get somebody in here who can stop the run. Right? Cool. He brought in Shane Bowen. He can't stop the run. Now what? Brian Daboll decided that he wanted to take over as play caller on offense, essentially throwing his offensive coordinator under the bus, right? Essentially saying that the offense doesn't look like he wanted it to look, so he's going to take over and make it look like it was supposed to look. The offense has looked worse than it's ever looked before. Can't fire yourself, or can you? Is he going to go out and hire a new offensive coordinator now? Or is he going to return the offensive play calling duties? So after year one, when he won Coach of the Year, the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator both did a great job. Year two, when it was an abject failure, the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator both fell on the sword for the play. Not, hey, we had a bad year, but we're going to sit down and we're going to get this thing right. Nope. It's their fault. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to bring in a new defense coordinator, and I'm going to take over on the offensive side. Year three, still an abject failure. Now what? So when people sit back and they go, hey, Brian Daboll inherited this. Like, this is what Joe Shane did to Brian Daboll. No. No. Joe Shane has his stuff that he's done, but Brian Daboll has done some goofy stuff too. And both of them dudes are equally culpable for what's going on right now. But here's the thing. If the job is to tank, they're doing the job. So why are you guys mad because they look so bad? They're trying to lose. If you're trying to lose, you're going to look bad. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. Either you want the Giants to lose or you don't. You can't say, hey, I want them to lose, but I want them to look good while they're losing. Because then there's a chance they might win. And last year, almost to a man, all of y'all were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we won these meaningless games. You can't have it both ways. Either you want them to lose or you want them to try to win. You can't say I want them to lose, but I want them to lose where it looks like they can win. That's just silly. And here we are now, Thanksgiving, the Giants get the Dallas Cowboys. So now on a short week, Tommy DeVito, who was a little banged up, will get his second start, right? Maybe Noah Z's, I'm not sure. But Noah Z's, like, by the way, nobody said anything about Dexter Lawrence, who was not effective at all, not versus the run, not versus the pass. They only ever bring up Kayvon Thibodeau anytime they want to talk bad about the defensive line. They'll only bring up Kayvon Thibodeau. It's all his fault. Oh, well, he's a bust. Neil is catching strays and he's out here playing pretty well, and people are still calling him a bust. So now Thibodeau's a bust, Neil's a bust. I can't even keep up with how many times y'all flip-flop and waffle on what's good and what's not good. But you know what good fans don't do? Good fans don't panic. Good media members don't panic. There seems to be a lot of panicking, and I don't know why. You didn't get into this situation overnight. You're not going to get out of this situation overnight. Now is the time to accept the fate. Giants fans, your team is trying to lose. And when you're trying to tank, this is how you get it done. Expect a loss on Thursday. Expect a loss. Quick turnaround and expect the same blueprint. Dallas gets out fast early. Second half, Giants look better. Tommy DeVito starts to make some plays. That's what you should expect. And then they get an extended time off. They're going to say, hey, we're getting this extended time off now so that we can get Tommy DeVito ready to play. He's going to get more time to work with the offense, right? But all of this, oh, well, maybe now they got to play better if Joe Shane and Brian Daboll want to keep their jobs. Why would they want to play better if you guys want them to lose? They got to have a better showing. No, they don't. You want them to be bad. You want them to lose. That's what you all keep saying. You want them to tank. This is how you tank. And until you just come to grips with it and stop trying to have your cake and eat it too, you're never going to have the success you want. That's just not how this thing works. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have today. New York Giants on SI. That is where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure you go there. We're still trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, so make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel, New York Giants on SI. We're going to hit that 2,000 here before the end of the season. I know it. I feel it. And if not, I'm just going to come around to you and start saying, hey, subscribe. Make sure you're checking out the Big Blue Breakdown with Paul Dottino. Make sure you're checking out my own YouTube channel, Coach Gene Clemons. Go over there and check out what we have going on over there. Follow us all on social media at Gene Clemons, at NY Giants SI. That's where you can follow New York Giants on SI Twitter account, and anywhere else that you want to follow me at. It's all at Gene Clemons, Blue Sky, Instagram, all that. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue.